You're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Nipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. India's progressive pitch continues at World Economic Forum in Davos with major investments in key sectors and a call for joint action to tackle global challenges. The last day of the forum to witness remarks from the leaders. EU Commission to propose major investment package for Greenland, while the US agrees to work with NATO on the Arctic island security. US President Donald Trump says big force is moving towards Iran. Also, UN Human Rights Council to hold an emergency session on Iran. And Men in Blue aim to extend series lead against New Zealand in the second T20 in Raipur. Kiwi bowlers hope for a better show against India's mighty batting order. Let's begin first with updates from Davos World Economic Forum 2026. Well, India's progressive pitch at the forum, which began in January and ends on January 23rd, drew sharp attention. From energy sector to global deals, India made a remarkable achievement. The country pushed hard for more renewable energy, guided by the idea of one Earth, one family, one future. This vision underlined India's call for joint action on green growth. India also underlined solutions to tackle global challenges. Overall, Davos 2026 boosted India's image as a leader in energy shifts and investment. With climate risks growing, the focus on renewables fits the global need. India's story of scale and strength shared at the forum draws partners for a shared path ahead. As deals flow in, the country steps up its role in the world, seeking balance. Also, the sessions could spark real changes, from job creation to green tech, aiding India's long goals and vision of Viksit Bharat. Well, at Davos, India pitched a 300 to 350 billion US dollars clean energy investment opportunity to global investors. Now, the Renewable Energy Minister, Prasar Joshi, highlighted policy stability, falling tariffs and 267 gigawatts non-fossil capacity, positioning India as a future-ready green energy hub. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has this report on this.
India has made a strong global pitch for clean energy investment at the World Economic Forum 2026 in Davos, positioning itself as one of the world's largest and most investment-ready green energy markets. Addressing the global investors, Union Minister for New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi said India's energy transition represents a $300 to $350 billion opportunity by 2030, offering speed, scale, stability, and long-term returns at a time of global economic uncertainty. India has already built 267 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel capacity as of December 2025 and is firmly on track to meet its 2030 clean energy goals.
267 gigawatt we have already reached as far as renewables are concerned. Means more than 52% of the energy mix is from the renewable now. We are having the manufacturing capacity of 144 gigawatt of module manufacturing, 27 gigawatt of cell manufacturing, which is going to shortly reach 50 gigawatt.
The pitch rests on affordability, reliability, and energy security. Rapidly falling renewable tariffs, grid modernization, competitive battery storage, and green hydrogen cost have made clean energy central to India's growth strategy. The government highlighted policy certainty, strong state-level execution, and a growing domestic manufacturing base as key strength for global investors. At Davos, India projected itself as a stable, future-ready destination for global clean energy capital. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
Well, India and the European Union are not only close to signing a landmark trade deal, but also set to strengthen their strategic relationship with the signing of a new security and defence partnership at the EU-India summit in New Delhi next week. Here's more in this report.
India and the European Union are the closest they've ever been to conclude a free trade agreement in what has been dubbed as the mother of all deals by the bloc's chief, Ursula von der Leyen.
I will travel to India. There's still work to do, but we are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals. One that would create a market of 2 billion people, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP. And crucially, that would provide a first-mover advantage for Europe with one of the world's fastest growing and most dynamic continents.
Von der Leyen will be travelling to India, where she will be the chief guest for the Republic Day parade on the 26th of January, along with European Council President Antonio Costa. When concluded, the FTA would be India's largest trade agreement to date and its 19th such deal. India and the 27-nation EU would create a combined market of nearly 2 billion people that would account for nearly 25% of the global GDP. The agreement is expected to cover goods, services, investment, technology transfer, telecom, and regulatory cooperation. Indian textiles are likely to emerge as a major beneficiary with reduced tariffs. They currently face 10% tariffs in the bloc. Notably, the deal excludes agriculture and dairy. Apart from the FTA, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said that Brussels will be signing a new security and defence partnership with New Delhi.
The EU and India are moving closer together at the time when the rules-based international order is under unprecedented pressure through wars, coercion and economic fragmentation. Two major democracies cannot afford to hesitate. We must become more ambitious partners.
India and EU already enjoy strong economic relations. In financial year 2024, India's bilateral trade in goods with the EU stood at $135 billion, making the bloc the largest trading partner for India in goods. Exports to EU was worth $76 billion, while imports from EU stood at $59 billion. India's main exports to the EU include machinery, pharmaceuticals, and petroleum products, while the EU's main exports to India consist of transport equipment and chemicals. EU investments in India are valued at over $117 billion, with around 6,000 European companies present in India. India's investments in the EU are valued at around $40 billion. The FTA also provides India and the EU with an opportunity to diversify markets, especially amid economic uncertainties caused by US tariffs. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen announced plans for a major increase in European Union investment in Greenland aimed at supporting the island's economy, infrastructure and security amid growing tensions over US interest in the Arctic territory. The European Union leaders heaved a sigh of relief over Donald Trump's U-turn on Greenland as they met for an emergency summit in Brussels. The leaders said they want an EU-US trade deal to be back on track after the European Parliament suspended its ratification in protest over US pressure to acquire Greenland. Now, speaking at a press conference, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said EU have collectively underinvested in Arctic and Arctic security.
We have collectively underinvested in the Arctic and Arctic security, so now it's high time to step up and to build on what we already achieved. Beyond investment, we also intend to deepen cooperation with the United States and all partners on the important topic of Arctic security. In particular, we believe we should use our defence spending surge on Arctic-ready equipment, a European icebreaker, for example, And we should strengthen our security and defence arrangement with partners in the region.
While saying they want to work on strengthening the transatlantic cooperation, the EU leaders warned that they were ready to act if Trump was to threaten them again.
Europe is not willing to junk 80 years of good transatlantic relationship because of disagreements. And if you look at the surveys that have been done also in America, then majority of Americans see Europe as their biggest ally. So I think this is the way it is, and we are willing to invest our time and energy in this.
And U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States would work with the NATO on Greenland security. Aboard Air Force One, Trump said the plan he has for Greenland would be well received.
We're all going to work together, and actually NATO is going to be involved with us. We're going to be doing in conjunction, parts of it in conjunction with NATO, which is really the way it should be. To be clear, will the U.S. won't have any expense because we're not going to have expense.
Well, now Greenland Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen has come out and said sovereignty and territorial integrity are a red line. Nielsen said he's not aware of the contents of a framework agreement about the Danish autonomous territory that U.S. President Donald Trump announced he'd agreed after a meeting with NATO chief Mark Rutte.
First of all, nobody else than Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark have the mandate to make deals or agreements about Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark without us. That's not going to happen. I don't know what there is in the agreement or the deal about my country that over some discussions I didn't attend. I don't know what concrete in it. What I'm saying is that we have a high-level working group that will sort things out.
And still to come in DD India News Hour. U.S. oil companies will soon start drilling for oil in Venezuela, informs President Donald Trump. Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi is set to dissolve parliament today for a snap election next month. And vampire film Sinners makes history with a record 16 nominations for this year's Oscars.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, upping the ante, President Donald Trump said that a U.S. naval armada was heading towards the Gulf, maintaining pressure on Iran, although he has recently downplayed the prospect of imminent military action. Now, U.S. warships, including the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, several destroyers and fighter aircraft started moving from the Asia-Pacific last week as tensions between Iran and the United States soared following a severe crackdown and protest across Iran in recent months. Last week, Trump pulled back from a threat to strike Iran over its deadly crackdown on anti-government protest after the White House said Tehran had halted planned executions of the demonstrators. But the Republican president on Thursday confirmed continuing military preparations. Also, Trump reiterated that his threat to use force against Tehran had stopped 837 hangings of protesters. He also confirmed he was open to talking with Iran.
Where do things stand with Iran? The U.S. has got sizable military assets.
You know, we have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction. And we'll see what happens. Declaring force. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung.
And in another development from West Asia, the Syrian government has retaken swathes of northern and eastern Syria from Kurdish forces. The move strengthens President Ahmed al-Shara's control nearly 14 months after former leader Bashar al-Assad was removed from power. Now, the rapid turn of events has brought almost all of Syria back under the authority of the central Damascus-based state following years of unrest and puts a spotlight on shifting U.S. policy. Tensions had been simmering between the government and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces for months now. Damascus has demanded the SDF, spearheaded by the Kurdish YPG, merge fully into the state security forces and that governing bodies in the Kurdish-run regions also be integrated. Now, the SDF has pushed back against those demands, saying it wants to protect Kurdish autonomy and fears being sidelined by the new leadership in Damascus. Also, the standoff has now turned into open confrontation, reshaping Syria's political landscape as the government moves to reassert control across the country. And top U.S. negotiators, including Steve Witkoff, met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow for talks on a U.S.-drafted plan to end the Ukraine conflict, just as Kyiv announced it had agreed on post-conflict security guarantees with Washington. Now, diplomatic efforts to end Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II have gained pace in recent months, though both Moscow and Kyiv remain at odds over the key issue of territory in a post-conflict settlement. Without elaborating, Witkoff earlier said that he believed the two sides were down to one issue. Putin shook hands with Witkoff, U.S. President's son-in-law Jared Kushner and White House advisor Josh Gruenbaum. The high-stakes meeting came just hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said a draft deal was nearly ready and that he and Trump had agreed on the issue of post-war security guarantees. Now, Witkoff and Kushner will be flying straight to Abu Dhabi, where talks will continue in military-to-military working groups. Well, Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev also took part on the Russian side, along with Kremlin foreign policy aide Yuri Ushakov. In a post, he said important discussions between Russia and U.S. took place in Kremlin. Well, also, U.S. President Donald Trump said both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky have said they would like to make a deal to end the nearly 4-year-old conflict.
You know, what's happened here is there were times when Putin didn't want to make a deal, times when Zelensky didn't want to make a deal, and it was like opposite times. Now I think they both want to make a deal, but we'll find out.
Did something change that makes you think that Putin and Zelensky now are serious about it?
Any predictions? There are no changes. I think that President Putin would like to make a deal. I think that President Zelensky would like to make a deal.
Well, U.S. House of Representatives Republicans narrowly defeated a resolution on Thursday that would have barred President Donald Trump for further military action in Venezuela without the authorization of Congress, days after a similar measure failed in the Senate. The House voted 215 to 215, a tie that defeated the resolution, which directs the president to remove United States armed forces from Venezuela. Now, the vote was largely along party lines in the narrowly divided chamber, where Trump's Republicans have a 218 to 213 majority. Every Republican except Don Bacon of Nebraska and Thomas Massie of Kentucky voted against the resolution. Every Democrat voted in favor. Well, the vote came a week after Vice President J.D. Vance cast a tie-breaking vote in the Senate to kill a measure that would have forced Trump to seek congressional approval for any military action related to Venezuela. Well, also Donald Trump on Thursday said U.S. oil companies will soon start drilling for oil in Venezuela, even as companies expressed concern about the viability of quickly returning to the country.
We're going to start drilling very soon. We have the biggest companies in the world. We have them, and they're going to be going in. They're all negotiating right now, and we're representing the nation. And that's going to do two things. It's going to make the United States a lot of money. And it's also, I mean, it's going to make Venezuela a lot of money, but it's also going to bring down oil prices even further.
Well, in an initial vote on Thursday, Venezuela's National Assembly approved a sweeping proposed reform of the country's hydrocarbon law. During the session, the Nation Assembly's head, George Rodriguez, said current laws slow efforts to boost oil production and urged lawmakers to approve reforms to attract foreign investment. No lawmakers spoke against the proposed changes.
The partial reform of the organic law on hydrocarbons so that we can carry out the necessary reforms to enable an accelerated increase in oil production in Venezuela. Even the cumbersome elements in legislation prevent an accelerated process for us to increase oil production. We need to do it, and we need to do it now, because every day that passes with oil that is not extracted is a day lost. It is the amount of reserves that we will never be able to use again, because the magnitude of our reserves is such that a significant percentage will never be able to be extracted.
Well, last week, interim President Delcy Rodriguez submitted a plan to lawmakers to revise Venezuela's key hydrocarbon law, updating a major oil law from Hugo Chavez's era. The proposed overall aims to change the long-standing rules governing investment and operations in the country's oil sector to encourage new investment and boost production. A second debate vote in the National Assembly is needed before final approval. While Venezuela's health sector workers marched through Caracas on Thursday to condemn the detention of former President Nicolas Maduro and demand his release. Well, Maduro's son and lawmaker Nicolas Maduro Guerrera joined the march. He said the health workers were to deliver a letter calling for an end to sanctions and requesting a UN statement on military aggression against Venezuela. The U.S. has charged Maduro with multiple crimes, including narco-terrorism and cocaine importation conspiracy, allegations he denies and calls politically motivated. And Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi will dissolve Parliament on Friday ahead of a snap election on February 8th, counting on her cabinet's high poll numbers. The country's first woman leader announced that she planned to dissolve the lower house. Takaichi has pledged to cut a sales tax on food for a 2-year period to alleviate the burden on people struggling with inflation. Vowing to address the issue, Takaichi's cabinet approved a record $770 billion budget for the fiscal year from April 2026. Also, the ruling coalition of Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party and the Japan Innovation Party has only a slim majority in the powerful lower chamber. Takaichi is hoping widespread support for her cabinet will help deliver her a stronger mandate, even though the LDP itself is battling low approval ratings and a string of scandals as well. And the European Union leaders held a minute of silence on Thursday in honor of victims of several recent train crashes in Spain as they met in Brussels for talks on EU-US relations. The President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, drew particular attention to the Davos crash and expressed his condolences to the families and loved ones of those killed there. A commuter train collided with a crane arm that swung into its path in southeastern Spain on Thursday, the transport minister said, in the country's fourth rail accident in less than a week. That crash, which caused minor injuries, came 4 days after a high-speed train collision near Davos in the southern Andalusia region killed at least 43 people. And moving on, Bangladesh's election campaign for the 13th national parliamentary polls formally began on Thursday, with major political parties launching rallies and policy initiatives across the country. Well, with campaigning officially underway, political activity is expected to intensify nationwide ahead of the February 12th election. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party opened its campaign with a mass rally at the Alia Madrasa field in Sylhet, drawing thousands of leaders, activists and supporters. Also, BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir and senior leaders were present, while Party Chairman Tariq Rahman's arrival after more than 2 decades sparked strong enthusiasm. The rally marked BNP's first public election meeting, alongside the announcement of 5 campaigns programs aimed at increasing public participation in policy making. Also, Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami meanwhile outlined its policy agenda at a Policy Summit 2026 in Dhaka, pledging reforms in governance, social security, education and healthcare, and vowing zero tolerance for corruption. Also, the National Citizen Party also launched its campaign by paying homage at the shrines of national leaders near Dhaka University. NCP convener Nahid Islam said the campaign would be conducted on behalf of the party and its 10-party alliance. Well, artificial intelligence is no longer just a buzzword. It's becoming the backbone of India's development journey. From healthcare to governance, AI is transforming lives, and India is ready to showcase this transformation to the world. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings us more on this.
The India AI Impact Summit 2026, to be held from 16th to 20th February at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. This landmark event will be the first global AI summit hosted in the Global South, bringing together world leaders, policymakers, innovators and tech companies.
इतनी लंबी जर्नी में भारत को बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करना है और रोल डेफिनेटली प्ले करेंगे। पांचों के पांचों लेयर्स में, एप्लीकेशन लेयर में लीडरशिप लेंगे, मॉडल लेयर में बहुत अच्छे सॉवरेन मॉडल्स बनेंगे और चिप लेयर में बहुत बड़ी लीड भारत लेगा और इंफ्रा लेयर में $70 बिलियन का इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑलरेडी हो रहा है और एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट तक पूरी संभावना है कि 70 बिलियन 150 बिलियन तक पहुंचे इन्वेस्टमेंट.
The summit highlights how AI can drive inclusive growth aligned with the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 and India's flagship India AI mission and Digital India initiative. Taking forward outcomes from major international AI forums, India's approach through the India AI Impact Summit 2026 will focus on translating global discussions into development outcomes aligned with national priorities under the India AI mission and Digital India initiative. It will strengthen multilateral cooperation while advancing practical, people-centric AI frameworks relevant to India's governance, economy, and society. AI has emerged as a transformative force with the potential to accelerate India's economic growth, strengthen governance, and improve the quality of life of citizens, anchored in the principles of people, planet, and progress. For people, AI-enabled solutions are empowering citizens by expanding healthcare access through telemedicine and diagnostics, personalizing education through adaptive learning. For planet, AI is enabling smarter and more sustainable practices in agriculture through crop prediction, precision farming, and drone-based monitoring. For progress, AI is strengthening governance through language, translation of court judgments, improving service delivery, and enhancing everyday efficiency through applications in food delivery, mobility, and personalized digital services. Building on the 3 foundational sutras, the deliberations at India AI Summit 2026 will be guided by 7 chakras, 7 powerful areas of cooperation shaping the future of artificial intelligence for India. The first chakra, human capital, focuses on building an equitable reskilling ecosystem, preparing India's workforce for the AI economy. Second, inclusion for social empowerment, ensuring citizen-centric AI solutions reach the last mile, empowering every Indian. Third, safe and trusted AI turns global principles into practical frameworks, strengthening governance, enabling safe deployment, and building public trust. The fourth chakra, resilience, innovation and efficiency, highlights responsible adoption of AI, balancing growth with environmental sustainability. Fifth, science accelerates discovery, strengthens research ecosystems, and positions India as a global contributor in health, agriculture, and climate. Sixth, democratizing AI resources envisions equitable access to AI tools, compute, and data empowering startups, researchers, and public institutions. Finally, the seventh chakra, AI for economic growth and social good, explores how AI can drive inclusive prosperity, showcasing high-impact use cases that benefit both the economy and society. By focusing on responsible, ethical, and people-centric AI, India AI Impact Summit 2026 is set to position India as a global hub for AI innovation and deployment, AI for people, planet, and progress. India is not just embracing the future, it's shaping it. Rahul Upadhyay for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Prime Minister Modi receives telephone call from President of Brazil, reaffirms commitment to strengthen India-Brazil strategic partnership. Nation observes Parakram Diwas on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's birth anniversary, honouring his indomitable spirit. And India's Information and Broadcasting Ministry comes up with the tableau Bharat Gatha, detailing chronicles of India's storytelling art for Republic Day.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage, and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a telephone call from Brazil's President Lula da Silva. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthen the India-Brazil strategic partnership and take it to even greater heights in the year ahead. Recalling their meetings last year in Brasilia and South Africa, the two leaders noted with satisfaction the significant progress achieved across diverse areas of bilateral cooperation, including trade and investment, technology, defense, energy, health, agriculture, and people-to-people ties. The leaders also exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. They also underscored the importance of reformed multilateralism in addressing shared challenges. Well, Prime Minister Modi conveyed that he looked forward to welcoming President Lula to India at an early date. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Kerala on Friday to lay the foundation stone, inaugurate and flag off various developmental projects in Thiruvananthapuram. While in a mojo boost based to rail connectivity, Prime Minister Modi will flag off 4 new train services, including 3 Amrit Bharat Express trains and 1 passenger train that will boost long-distance and regional connectivity across southern states. The Prime Minister will also launch the PM Swanidhi credit card and disperse loans to 1 lakh street vendors. It will provide interest-free UPI-linked credit to support liquidity, digital payments and formal credit history building. Also further, Prime Minister will lay the foundation for the CSIR and IIST Innovation Hub in Thiruvananthapuram and a radiosurgery centre at Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute in Thiruvananthapuram. And 23rd January marks the birth anniversary of prominent freedom fighter Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Nation is celebrating Parakram Diwas to honour Netaji's indomitable spirit and selfless service to the country.
बहनों और भाइयों, हमने जो आज़ादी की लड़ाई छेड़ रखी है, उसे तब तक जारी रखना होगा जब तक हमें मुकम्मल आज़ादी हासिल न हो।
These words still echo with the same fire as they did in 1943. The voice of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose continues to inspire courage, sacrifice, and an unshakable spirit of patriotism. Born on January 23, 1897 in Cuttack, Odisha, Netaji was a brilliant mind and a fearless leader. He cleared the Indian Civil Services examination in 1920, securing the 4th rank. Yet, choosing the nation over a prestigious career, he resigned to dedicate his life to India's freedom struggle. Netaji believed that freedom was not to be begged for, but seized through strength and determination. His most defining contribution came with the formation of the Azad Hind Fauj, galvanizing Indians across borders and challenging British rule with the powerful call, "Give me blood and I will give you freedom." To honor this indomitable spirit, the Government of India declared January 23rd as Parakram Diwas in 2021, commemorating his 125th birth anniversary. The day celebrates Netaji's unparalleled courage, leadership, and selfless service to the nation. In 2022, Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveiled a grand 28-foot statue of Netaji in New Delhi, a powerful symbol of India reclaiming its historical narrative and replacing colonial legacies with icons of national pride. In 2023, on Parakram Diwas, 21 unnamed islands of Andaman and Nicobar were named after the 21 Paramveer Chakra awardees. The tricolour was hoisted at the very spot where Netaji first unfurled it in 1943, a moment etched forever in India's freedom saga. Parakram Diwas is a reminder that courage can change history, and the spirit of Netaji continues to guide a confident, self-reliant India. Tripti Tripathi's report for DD India.
President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on Parakram Diwas, marking his birth anniversary. In a message on X, President Murmu said Netaji's call for independence awakened courage, unity and nationalism among Indians and praised his leadership of the Azad Hind Fauj. Prime Minister Modi said Netaji epitomized fearless leadership and patriotism, and his ideals continue to inspire generations to build a strong India. And the Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi has termed Operation Sindoor a huge success, where Indian military dominated Pakistani military at every level. He was speaking at the book release of Red Lines Redrawn, a book authored by Major General Bipin Bakshi, Air Marshal Rajesh Kumar, Brigadier Akhilesh Bhargav and diplomat Anil Trigunayat. The book deals with Operation Sindoor and how it redefined India's new normal.
In the military domain, we all know of the actions and reactions on both sides. Three-dimensional chess was being played, where we had war-gamed our actions in-house with our red teams and were fully prepared for multiple actions to dominate the complete escalation later. Operation Sindoor also showed that the jointness is no longer something we aspire to do in seminars or discussions. It is something we practiced under pressure, and we came out as a successful synergistic organization.
But from Katha to Content Power, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has come up with chronicles of India's storytelling art to the development of the orange economy in its Republic Day tableau. Bharat Gatha presents a powerful visual narrative of India's civilizational journey in storytelling, from ancient oral traditions to its emergence as a global content and media powerhouse. The tableau reflects the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat, seamlessly blending cultural heritage with technological innovation. The tableau is a blend of India's rich history and infotainment. Well, the Union Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has sanctioned national highway projects worth 2.1 lakh crore rupees in Uttar Pradesh since 2014. And as in 2025, the total national highway network in Uttar Pradesh stands at 10,718 kilometers. Well, during the 2025-26 financial year, the state had set ambitious targets of awarding 850 kilometers of highway projects, signaling strong progress in improving road connectivity and infrastructure. These developments highlight Uttar Pradesh's ongoing efforts to strengthen transportation, boost economic growth, and enhance connectivity across the state. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. First snowfall of the season hits Shimla and Manali, drawing tourists to enjoy rain and snow across the Himalayan hill stations. Shimla and Manali, popular hill stations in India's Himalayan region, received the season's first snowfall. Tourists flocked to experience the white weather, especially at Shimla's main town and Manali Mall Road. Well, in the tourist town of Manali in Himachal Pradesh, the National Winter Carnival entered its third day on January 20th with the lively display of cultural programs. The evening featured performances by various groups and the much-awaited second round of the Winter Queen competition. Large crowds gathered to enjoy the celebrations, adding to the festive atmosphere in the hill town. Well, an exhibition showcasing the strategic significance of India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, was inaugurated at the Prime Minister's Museum in New Delhi. The display highlights INS Vikrant's role in strengthening India's defence capabilities and maritime security. Former Chief of the Naval Staff Admiral R. Hari Kumar inaugurated the exhibition in the presence of Ashwini Lohani, Director of the Prime Minister's Museum and Library. And still to come on DD India News Hour. TikTok clinches deal for a new US joint venture to avoid American ban. In Australian Open, Naomi Osaka and Jannik Sinner win in round 2. And Indian fields bloom with mustard flowers as the festival of Basant Panchami marks the arrival of spring. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some business news now. TikTok's owner, ByteDance, has finalized a deal to create a majority American-owned joint venture. The move is aimed at avoiding a US ban on the popular app, which is used by more than 200 million Americans. The deal is a milestone for the short video app after years of battles that began in August 2020, when President Donald Trump first tried unsuccessfully to ban the app over national security concerns. Now, the company said the new entity, TikTok USDS Joint Ventures LLC, will protect US user data, the app and its algorithm through stronger privacy and cybersecurity measures. The agreement provides for American and global investors to hold a stake of 80.1% in the new joint venture, while ByteDance will retain 19.9%. And the nominations for the 98th Academy Awards were announced on Thursday at the Samuel Goldwyn Theatre in Beverly Hills, California. Actors Daniel Brooks and Lewis Pullman revealed the nominees. The Oscar ceremony is scheduled to take place on the 15th of March. Well, Ryan Gokula's vampire thriller Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan, led the field with a record-breaking 16 nominations, the most of any film this year and the highest number of nominations in Academy Awards history. Close behind was Paul Thomas Anderson's comedy thriller One Battle After Another, which earned 13 nominations. Other films receiving multiple nominations include F1, Avatar, Fire and Ash, Sentimental Value, The Secret Agent, and Begonia. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. Look to extend their series lead when they take on New Zealand in the second T20 International in Raipur today. Led by Suryakumar Yadav, the men in blue come in high on confidence after a dominant win in the first match, where they posted a massive 238 despite losing the toss. New Zealand faces a tough challenge against an Indian side that has won 10 T20 international series or tournaments in a row, including the World Cup and the Asia Cup. Now, this will be just the second time that Raipur will host the men's T20 international. And it's day 4 of the Khelo India Winter Games in Leh Ladakh. The flagship sports program of the government has been successful in nurturing talent at the grassroots level, while also building a winter sports ecosystem in states without a traditional winter sports culture. Today, women's ice hockey semi-final matches will also take place, while men's pool matches will continue. Ice skaters will be eyeing medals in long track speed skating as well. And for more on the Winter Games, we have Abhishek Prasad joining us from there. Well, Abhishek, with skaters from non-snow regions competing strongly against the traditional winter sports states there, how has the Khelo India Winter Games helped bridge this gap and expand the winter sports ecosystem across India?
Yes, definitely, Lipakshi. The government's the aim was to nurture grassroots talent and identify talent from every parts of the country, and so far it has been very successful in doing that. Yesterday only, Haryana bagged 5 medals, and ice skating and regions from plain, they are also doing good. Madhya Pradesh, whether it is Tamil Nadu, they are giving tough competition to the states who have well established in winter sports like Ladakh and Himachal Pradesh. So the participation from different parts of the country who are not very well known for sports, winter sports culture is doing good, and for that the credit goes to the government, the sports ministry, who has inaugurated the Khelo India Games in 2018. So far, 22 editions of Khelo India across different categories has been held, and the credit goes to the government who wants to make Ladakh, Leh, the winter sports hub, because it not only will boost the participation in this region, but will also boost the tourism in this region, which will in fact enhance our participation at the world level, at the Asian Games and at the Olympics level. And yesterday only I was talking to ice skaters with Haryana players, with Maharashtra players, and they were crediting the government, the facilities, the infrastructure that the government is providing here was exceptional, and that's what Khelo India is known for, and what this government has been successful in conducting that.
All right, Abhishek, also today's women's ice hockey semi-finals are a key highlight. How significant is this stage for promoting women's participation and visibility in the winter sports, especially in a place like Ladakh, where you're experiencing sub-zero temperatures at the moment?
Yes, definitely. The temperature right now is currently -7, and the altitude, there is low oxygen also, but athletes are pumped up, and if you talk about female athletes, definitely the participation has increased over the 5 edition. This is the 6th edition, and 472 athletes have taken part, and in this edition, definitely in ice hockey, the female participation is more than the male participation, which definitely signifies how important is Khelo Khelo India in giving opportunities to the females, and the females are also doing good. Yesterday only there were a number of females who won medals, and they were heavily supported by, parents are also supporting their children to choose this winter sports, which is a very difficult sports because you don't get enough facilities in other parts of the country, because what ice and snow you found here in Leh and Ladakh, in Jammu and Kashmir, but they are providing artificial ice rinks. So slowly a winter sports culture is being developed in all over the part of India, and there are more participation from both the genders, whether it's male or female, and female here is doing very good in this particular edition of Khelo India Winter Games.
All right, Abhishek, thank you so much for all that information from there. And in the Khelo India Winter Games, on day 3, Indian Army won their second straight group match in ice hockey at the NDS Stadium in Leh on Thursday. Speaking to DD India after the match, Army ice hockey players spoke about why Army teams are traditionally strong in ice sports and shared their experience of playing at the artificial ice rink in Leh.
We all stand for the Naam Namak Nishan of this place. The Ladakh Scouts, being the eyes and ears of this formation, they're the local players on ground. They've been living here from the past years, and hence the local people give them an upper edge. Because of this, about 20,000 feet, where we see the states coming from down, be Telangana, Maharashtra, Haryana, Chandigarh coming up.
Experience बाहर देश में भी खेलने बहुत बार गया हूँ, तो फर्स्ट टाइम लद्दाख में ये आर्टिफिशियल आइस पे खेलने को मिल रहा है, इसलिए बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है यहाँ पे। जैसे बाहर देश के वैसा ही सेम है, तो आने वाले टाइम में आने वाले बच्चों को अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म मिले, ये मैं आशा करता हूँ।
And two-time defending champion Yannick Sinner outclassed home wildcard James Duckworth 6-1, 6-4, 6-2 to stroll into the third round of the Australian Open on Thursday. The Italian world number 2 was in no mood for an extended shift on a cool Rod Laver arena as he set up a last 32 clash with American Elliot Spizzeri. Meanwhile, on the Margaret Court Arena, Naomi Osaka needed 3 sets to beat Romanian Sorana Cristea. The 16th seed will face home qualifier Madison Inglis in the next round. Also, Taylor Fritz and Casper Rudd will also secure straight set wins. American 9th seed Fritz overcame Vit Kopriva to set up a clash with veteran Stan Wawrinka, while Norwegian Rudd dispatched John Munar and will face Marin Cilic in the third round. And today is Basant Panchami. The next 50 days will be filled with enthusiasm, with nature blooming to its best. The festival of Basant Panchami is dedicated to the worship of Goddess Saraswati, the deity of knowledge. DD India's Adamya Mishra brings us more on this.
Basant Panchami marks the end of the winter season and the arrival of spring, symbolizing the confluence of nature and knowledge. Celebrated on the 5th day of the bright fortnight of the Hindu month of Magh, the festival brings visible transformation in nature. Greenery spreads across the landscape, colorful flowers bloom, and the atmosphere is filled with renewed energy and enthusiasm. Fields covered with yellow mustard flowers and trees adorned with vibrant blossoms become a defining feature of the day, while the weather turns pleasant, offering a perfect balance between winter and summer. Basant Panchami is not only a celebration of nature, but also holds deep spiritual significance, as it is dedicated to the worship of Goddess Saraswati, the deity of knowledge, wisdom, art and music. The color yellow, symbolic of the spring season, dominates the celebrations. Wearing yellow attire, offering yellow flowers and presenting yellow-colored prasad are important traditions observed on this occasion. The day also holds special religious importance as Basant Panchami is considered highly auspicious for beginning any new work. Adamya Mishra's report for DD India.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world at the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.